are live.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. This is the July 8th, 2021 zoning administrator hearing. And I will go ahead and just put a little note out there that says, effective March 27, 2020, the Mendocino County Zoning Administrator meeting will be conducted virtually and not available for in-person participation pursuant to the State Executive Order N29-20. Meetings are live streamed and are available for viewing on the Mendocino County YouTube page. And let's see here. So I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order at 1:35 p.m. So do we have a determination of noticing?
Yeah, legal notice has been determined.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and move to the regular calendar. And the first item is 3A, U2021-003. And the owner is Roman Catholic Bishop of Santa Rosa. The applicant is St. Elizabeth Seton Catholic Mission. Agent is John Schultz. Minor use permit for construction of a 1,050 square foot outdoor pavilion to be used for religious services. Applicant proposes future modifications to pavilion with intention of fully enclosing it. This has been determined to be categorically exempt. Project is located 1.8 miles northwest of Boonville Town Center on the west side of State Route 128, approximately 0.1 plus minus miles northwest of its intersection with Road 150A, and located at 12,761 Anderson Valley Way in Boonville, APN 046-200-75. Staff.
So the staff planner for this project is Mark Kleiser. He is currently away on a personal matter at the moment, so I will just be requesting a continuance for this item to the next zoning administrator hearing.
Okay, do we have anybody from the applicant for this matter?
I don't have any telecomments from anybody.
All right. So what would be the next date this could be heard?
August 12th.
August 12th. Let me look at the calendar here. We only do ZA once a month, correct?
Correct.
All right, so let's go ahead and continue this to August 12th.
Thank you, zoning administrator. I will inform staff.
So it's to a date certain, so there'll be no renoticing. It's just, a date certain.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, so that brings us to case 3B. This is road naming petitions 2020-0002. This item was continued from the June 10th, 2021 meeting. The owners are various. Applicant is County of Mendocino. The request is a private road name petition to adopt the adopt the name Old Boy Scout Road for a private road serving approximately 31 parcels in the Wilkes area. This item is categorically exempt under CEQA, and this is located 3.9 miles southeast of Wilkes on the southeast side of Ridgewood Road, 0.85 plus minus miles east of its intersection, its transition from East Side Road. And please get a staff report.
Certainly. So before we jump into that, I wanted to give a little bit of background about the road naming process, because it's changed a little bit in the last 18, 24 months there. So, sorry, Russ Ford, planning staff. So around 2019, some conversations began between the county and the Anderson Valley Community Services District regarding the process for adopting private road names. The district had noted a number of roads that would benefit from separate identification, but found the existing road naming process to be cumbersome and onerous. On February 4th, 2020, an association of fire districts spoke to the Board of Supervisors requesting a streamlined process for road naming that would allow for fire and EMS districts to submit requests that omitted the fee and signature requirements. The board directed staff to work with the Fire and EMS Sustainability Ad Hoc Committee to update the road naming process for public safety purposes. Staff determined that the existing ordinance allowed for the department to put forward road name requests itself, and this process could be used to sponsor requests from local fire districts, meeting the board direction. To further streamline the process, at the beginning of this year, the board amended Chapter 1816 of the Mendocino County Code to designate the zoning administrator as the hearing body for private road name requests. This was intended to decrease the turnaround time for these projects by eliminating the need to be scheduled as a board agenda item. All projects currently pending hearing were subsequently rescheduled for the zoning administrator in order to be heard today. Okay, so that takes us to our first one, which is road name 2020-02 for Old Boy Scout Road. The request to name Old Boy Scout Road comes from the department and was prompted by a number of issues discussed in more depth in the associated memo. The primary concern is that Old Boy Scout Road is widely known in the community by that name and is in fact signed as such at its intersection with Ridgewood Road. Despite these facts, structures along Old Boy Scout Road are addressed as either Ridgewood Road or Mariposa Creek Road, depending on their proximity to either of those roads. This creates what's essentially a fork in Ridgewood Road, with addresses continuing on two different routes. Because Old Boy Scout Road serves more than 30 parcels and is a significant connector in a very rural area, staff believes the potential confusion created by this is an unacceptable safety risk. An EMS responder not familiar with the area would likely not know to turn down Old Boy Scout Road when looking for a Ridgewood Road address. This road name request has strong support from the local fire district, Little Lake Fire, and was also recommended for approval by CAL FIRE and the Mendocino County Sheriff's Office. A map of the area created by CAL FIRE in 2019 for the shaded fuel break work shows not only Old Boy Scout Road, but also Middle Road and Redwood Creek Road with the same names and configurations that the department is proposing. However, the request has generated a number of letters and comments from the community opposing the road name. The most common issues raised in objection were the need to update legal and financial documents, concerns about the update not reaching major navigational sources like Google or Apple Maps, the perceived cost to both the property owners and the county associated with the name change process, and a perception that there is no issue with the status quo. While there is always some inconvenience associated with address changes, staff believes the life and safety benefits created by the road name change ultimately outweigh these concerns, and that this project is in line with previous board direction, and staff recommends approval.
Thank you. So basically, just to go back in time on this, because this was a continued item, this was prompted by a shaded fuel break, CAL FIRE looking into this, and really, having concerns about the addressing.
Mm-hmm.
And again, staff is looking at public safety more so, and so I guess I just wanted to make sure that that's what prompted all of this.
Sure, there were a number of specific issues. One was that when CAL FIRE was working on the shaded fuel break, you have the Ridgewood Road, the actual named Ridgewood Road, which has its set of addresses, and then you have Old Boy Scout Road, which also has Ridgewood Road addresses. And there was a comment made that could be confusing for folks that were trying to find their way up there that weren't familiar with the area. There's also a duplicate address. That's one that's on Ridgewood Road and one that's on Old Boy Scout Road that both have the same number on Ridgewood Road. Those were just a few of the things that brought this to staff's attention, but that was really just the proverbial crack in the foundation. And then when you go inside, you realize that the whole floor is rotted, and it's a much more complex project than initially appeared.
So from my understanding, it's the end of, what did we say, East Road?
So East Side, is it East Side Road?
Is it East Side Road? And then you get to a point as you're going to the Pine Mountain subdivision, and this Old Boy Scout Road is the one that veers off to the right, while the Ridge Road is the one that goes all the way up to the end of where there's a little lake or a pond up there.
Ridgewood Road continues all the way out this way and sort of
Dead ends up there. I think there's a pond or something.
Old Boy Scout Road comes up. So East Side Road, it's the same road, but it changes names and becomes Ridgewood Road when you kind of get around this turn.
Right.
And then it continues down this way. Old Boy Scout Road takes off at this point and comes south and eventually connects with Mariposa Creek Road way down here.
Okay.
But both this section and this section are addressed as Ridgewood Road.
Now, for my education, does this old Boy Scout road connect to the old, to the Boy Scout camp off of Canyon Road or Tomkai?
Not directly.
Not directly. So it has nothing to do with that. Okay. Thank you. All right. Is there anything else you want to add?
Not at this moment, no.
All right. So with that, I'd like to go ahead and open up the public hearing.
Okay. Okay, the speakers, this is the point where we will address any telecommenters that have been submitted their forms and are waiting to speak on the line. Clerk will read the list in order and call the next speaker. When called to speak, please state your name for the record. Public comment is limited to 3 minutes per person. Speakers are asked to please address their comments to the meeting zoning administrator and to refrain from using any profanity or engaging in a conversation with members of the audience or staff. First person I'll call is Colin Wilson, will be followed by Chris Wilkes. Chris is on the controllers. Mr. Wilson?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, you'll have 3 minutes. And then I'll give you a 30-second warning at the end. Okay?
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
Hello,
Yes.
we can hear you.
Hello.
hello. Yeah, thanks. My name's Colin Wilson. I was one of the original members of the coalition that requested the changes for the county for the simplifying the road naming process. We did that at that time for largely for the reasons that Russ has already reiterated. This is a common problem. It's a very common problem in our district, Anderson Valley Fire Department, and throughout the county as well as the state and probably a number of other states as well. The action that the county took to simplify this process has greatly facilitated our ability to deal with these problems, and Anderson Valley has done in the recent go-around since the rules have been relaxed a bit. We have done several roads that have affected us in a very positive way. Old Boy Scout Road is a perfect example of the type of problems that we have with these unnamed roads, in that it's carrying addresses from the nearest named road that it branches off of, and then extends for a long distance with these addresses. And I'm not sure about Old Boy Scout Road, but they often involve multiple turns that you have to take once you've left the main road. So it's really confusing to emergency responders. I wanted to also add that residents frequently, when they first hear of this process, are upset about it because they think it's going to involve a large amount of problems for them in doing it, in making the changes in the amount of paperwork that they have to follow up with. In Anderson Valley, we've done in all, starting well back before the rules were changed, the first time when we could do it more easily, we've done probably a total of about 20 roads. And in having done that, we heard quite a bit of concern about residents leading up to the process of making the change. Once the change was made, we haven't had any complaints of people that followed up. That's not to say that there are not problems. There are some problems. They do have some change sometimes. One of the people that was on a road that we did a name change on several years ago, 2012, said in a letter that he did for us that our dirt road received a new name and property was assigned a new number by the county in 2012. It created a variety of challenges for everyone on our road. Even now, 8 years later, our property has not changed. One property owner has not changed the number on their gate, and one hasn't put in any number at all. Most of the documents that need physical address, such as vehicle registration, were done on forms received for annual renewal. And that's pretty much the experience that I've heard from people that have gone through the process. They largely don't have to go through and change every document they have that has their address on it. Largely it's handled in annual renewal process. And in closing, I just wanted to say that these problems have existed for going back to the whole history of the county, and they have become progressively worse over time as more and more houses have been built on these unnamed roads. And they do present a real problem for emergency responders. It does present some issues for the current residents that have to go through these changes. But once the change is made, the problem is fixed forever. No one else has to deal with it, after that. And in my opinion, as a longtime responder and also a longtime rural resident of Mendocino County, it's well worth the inconvenience that has to be done. I wanted to speak in favor of the process in general and the changes at Old Boy Scout Road in particular.
Mr. Wilson, thank you for those insights. It's always good to hear from a responder. What are the challenges that you folks have to deal with? And I would assume that a responder that's not familiar with the area, or a responder that has not been up in a certain area in a long time, may have difficulties trying to find an address, especially where addressing hasn't been consistent in the past. Is that the case?
That's absolutely true. And frequently, for long-term first responders in a given area, they are aware of these local anomalies and can often work around them. But in all of our rural volunteer fire departments, we have a fairly good turnover of volunteers. And as newer people come on board, they are perhaps less involved with it. And the ambulances in particular are often not just responding into a smaller local district. They have a greater area and less familiarity with these individual situations. So it's a bigger problem for them. And one of the problems that we really fear is when we have these major fires and we're bringing in resources from out of county that have no familiarity with it at all, it can be an extreme problem for them.
Thank you. Okay, let's go to our next speaker.
That will be Chris Wilkes. I guess I'll just pick one, right? Mr. Wilkes?
You guys got me?
Yes, you might want to turn down the speaker.
I'm trying.
Let's try it now.
How about now?
Perfect, perfect. So state your name for the record.
I'm Chris Wilkes. I'm the fire chief of the Little Lake Fire District in Wilkes, California. We provide service to the Pine Mountain area. The area that we're talking about resides directly within our fire district. I wanted to add to, I know that this came up during the fuel reduction projects that were going on up in the Pine Mountain area. However, this problem was really first identified in the after action meetings that we had after the Mendocino complex for that area. As was brought up earlier, responding agencies, responding firefighters from other communities had real trouble finding their way around that area in the past. Wildland fires and other fires are definitely an issue with addressing, but a lot of times there's visual indicators of where they're located. One of the main concerns obviously is EMS. If a loved one's having a heart attack or something in the back room of their house, and identifying that address directly is crucial for getting EMS support in a reasonable amount of time. The reason why I bring that up is we have been questioned before in the past about response times. Little Lake Fire doesn't have an adopted response time. However, that means that our responses are this is strictly based on public safety, and it's in the best interest of the public to be able to find their addressing on time and provide this service in a reasonable manner. We've been questioned, ambulance service in our local area have been questioned about what took so long. It is a long ways up to Pine Mountain. finding the addressing up in that area is tough. The split between Old Boy Scout Road or Ridgewood Road addresses of Mariposa Creek, there's no rhyme or reason. It's just Ridgewood Road until it runs into Mariposa Creek Road addresses with no delineation of one to the other. It is confusing, and although I am sympathetic to that there's some costs and certainly some other issues that could be caused to the local residents, as the paid official for the Little Lake Fire District, it's my job to look at what's best for public safety. That's why we strongly support the road renaming up there, and so that we can provide that level of public safety and EMS to anybody that calls.
Thank you very much for those insights. Next speaker, please.
Okay, the next speaker will be Joan Thompson. Ms. Thompson?
Ms. Thompson, go ahead. You'll want to unmute.
You have to unmute yourself. I can't do it.
We still can't hear you.
You need to unmute yourself at the top of the screen. There's a little button that says unmute.
Oh, we still cannot hear you. We are unable to hear you.
We cannot hear you.
So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the next speaker while you try to resolve your technical difficulties and then bring you back in.
So I don't have any more speakers on this matter.
What about Sheila Keys?
Sheila Keys is for 3C.
Okay.
Do you want to jump around or do you want to just?
No.
Okay.
That's okay.
Yeah, she's 3C.
All right.
Same.
So Joan Thompson is speaking for this matter.
Yes.
Got to find a way to get her into the system. Did she have a letter?
No.
Let's try her again. Ms. Thompson, let's go ahead and try it again. We still cannot hear you. You'll want to unmute on your end. The other thing too is you may want to log back out and log back in, because the system will ask you to join with computer audio. And if you didn't press that button, it probably didn't give you the audio capability to use your computer speakers. Is there a way she can call in?
Not really. There's no number. We don't have a number designated.
Okay. So it just has to be
Right.
the Zoom. Okay. So I'm not sure how you logged in, but what you might want to try to do is log out, log back in, and then as the various icons and screens come up, it will prompt you to use computer audio and video. Did our other speakers leave, or they're still there?
They're still there.
Okay. Okay. Everyone, let's just try to be patient. I want to try to give everybody an opportunity to speak on this matter. We still can't hear you. It's got to be something on her end.
Yeah, I have no control. Usually I have a control to
Yeah.
ask to unmute, but there's no option.
No. I think what happened was when you get the Zoom pop-up, it asks you for if you want to use computer audio, and probably that wasn't clicked.
Well,
So-
initially it said she was using an older.
Can she call? She can call in for Zoom on that number that I sent her, and we can do it through phone.
Yeah. Is there a
So
number?
can you call in on your phone to the number I gave you on that email, the 1699 number, and we'll pick you up from your phone. Yeah. Should I just remove her? She's kind of... She called in.
Will she come up on the,
Yeah, she'll come up with her phone number up there.
all right? Here we go.
There's no, Zoom has no messenger.
Closed caption.
I don't think she has a microphone in her laptop.
That's probably might be the case.
That's what Adrian was thinking too.
I don't know whether, I told her to call, she can call in on that number.
Mm-hmm.
Ms. Thompson,
What should we do?
if you could hear us, the recommendation is to call in. It may be that you have no audio capability on your computer.
Have we gone through all the callers?
For this
For this
matter.
item, yes. So I need to give her the opportunity to speak on this matter. Well, here's what we could do is we could move on to the next item and keep this one pending and just circle back.
Okay, that's fine.
So in the interest of time, folks, I'm going to go ahead and move to the next item. We will come back to the first item in order to give everybody an opportunity to speak. So again, we will come back to case 3B. Let's go ahead and do case 3C. And this is also a continued item, which is a road naming 2020-0009. Again, County Mendocino is the applicant, various owners. This is a private road name petition to adopt the name Middle Road for a private road serving approximately 16 parcels in the Wilkes area. The property is located 5.5 miles southeast of Wilkes on the south side of Bear Canyon Road, 0.44 miles east of its intersection with Lakewood Drive. Staff.
Okay, thank you. Road name petition 2020-09 Middle Road. This is the second of 3 roads in the Pine Mountain area after Old Boy Scout Road. So outreach to the Little Lake Fire District about Old Boy Scout Road prompted discussion about some other significant roads in the area that would benefit from better identification. This road is locally known by this name and appears on the previously mentioned CAL FIRE location map as such. So several letters of objection were received from the community with the same stated reasons as those of Old Boy Scout Road. Need to change documents, no problem with current addresses. Nevertheless, Little Lake Fire, CAL FIRE, and the Mendocino County Sheriff's Office and staff all recommend approval of this project. So Middle Road, this is one here that comes from Bear Canyon,
Okay.
Old Boy Scout.
All right. So here I'm going to go ahead and open it up to the public.
And that would be Shirley Keys.
So Ms. Keys.
Yes, hi. I won't spend a lot of time talking about all the various reasons that were outlined in the letters for both Boy Scout Road and Middle Road, because I think you've pretty much already written those off as inconsequential. However, I would state that more and more places are requiring physical addresses, and it would require change of IDs, passport. One of the things I would be concerned about is the homeowner's insurance, which I now have to get through the California Fair Plan. And this is not the time of year I want to have any sort of excuse for an insurance company to not have to pay. And that's exactly the kind of thing that would happen. I also think that with adequate signage, these issues could easily be addressed, as well as changing the road name won't fix more of the problem. We could fix more problems if we look at things like the fireboxes I just saw that were installed in Anderson Valley, where it actually provides more information than just addresses. It tells you where the water is. It tells you, my property has a water tank with the CAL FIRE hookup with X amount of gallons of water in it right now. And so I think looking at it from that public safety perspective, the name is not the only thing that matters. And changing the name does have a significant impact on the residents there. And yes, it may only be one time, but it may be, financially significant. And we have not had trouble with people finding us up there. UPS, FedEx, all the utilities can find us, the propane services. The other thing is that we don't wait for ambulances. Even with all the appropriate signage and whatever name you want to give it, we know it's going to be 20 to 30 minutes before they get there. So we take each other. It's happened a number of times. If somebody's having a coronary event or one of our neighbors had a stroke, we get each other down the hill to the hospital. We meet the ambulance where they're coming. We don't just wait for them to find us. So that's part of living where we do. So I also want to thank you to all the first responders and fire folks. We really do appreciate you saving our neighborhood a few years ago. But it seemed to me people found their way around pretty easily. So that's about all I have to say.
Okay, thank you. Is there anybody else that wishes to speak on this matter?
Not on 3C.
Not on
And I
3C.
would actually, my parcel has the intersection of what you guys would be calling Boy Scout and Mariposa, or and Middle Road. And people on both sides of it have Mariposa Creek addresses. But if you look further up the map, there are several places Mariposa Creek tees off in two different directions. So you're still going to need to have signage that shows which addresses are which direction.
Okay, thank you for those insights and this background information. So if there's nobody else to speak on this matter, I'll bring it back to the zoning administrator. I do recognize that it could be a financial burden for folks, especially to change addresses and so on, but I also have to look at the public safety aspect of it. When we have first responders in support of this, not only is the fire districts, CAL FIRE and the sheriff in support of this, but I've heard from 2 responders already on the line here that are in support of this. And I have seen the devastation that this county has gone through. Is an address change going to stop that? Probably not, but is the address change uniform process going to assist the first responders in evacuating and getting to people? Possibly so. So I have to look at public safety, and with that, I'm going to go ahead and approve this road name change. And I do understand that there is a cost to do certain things, to change things, but I would think that in the case of Ms. Key's question about the insurance, I would think that when you have first responders supporting an address change and making it more resilient in the area, an insurance company would be more understanding to the fact that this actually is going to better first response than hinder it. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and approve this case. So, let's see here. Boy Scout is, we're going to set that one aside. And we just did this one, which is Bear Canyon, correct?
We did 3C, we're on 3D.
3D.
3D is Coral Ridge.
Right, but we just did,
middle.
middle, got everything mixed around in here. I wanna make sure I've got them right. So, let me get them. Oh, 9, okay, so we just did 9, which was Middle Road, okay, so. All right, so the next one. Here we go. The next one is Quail Ridge Road, correct? So this is item 3D, private road name request to adopt the name Quail Ridge Road for a private road serving approximately 4 parcels in the Boonville area. This is categorically exempt from CEQA. The project is located 2.10 miles northeast of Boonville on the north side of Deer Meadow Road, 2.3 miles northeast of its intersection with the county road. Have a staff report.
Yes, thank you. Road name request 2020-10 Quail Ridge Road. So this is one of several requests submitted by the Anderson Valley Community Services District. This road serves 4 parcels, and the original name proposed by the district was Upper Left Road relative to its location on Deer Meadows Road. So a response from the property owners indicated a preference for the name Quail Ridge Road, which was agreeable to the district. So the project was updated and referred out again for comment. CAL FIRE, the Sheriff's Office, and staff all recommend approval of the project.
Okay. So, do we have any members of the public that wish to speak on 3D?
Yes. Mr. Wilson.
Mr. Wilson, go ahead.
Yeah, I just unmuted. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, again, this is Colin Wilson. I don't have anything new to add to this. I wanted to be available on the agenda in case there were any questions about it. All of the things I said earlier certainly pertain to this road. This is one of 3 forks off of Deer Meadows Road that has been a long-standing problem for responders in the area, and this is part of the cure to that. So the fire department is definitely in support of this, and if you have any questions about it, then I can answer it. Yeah.
All right, thank you. So do we have anybody else that wishes to speak on this matter?
Not on 3D, no.
Not on 3D, so I'll bring it back to the zoning administrator. And again, looking at public safety is the main concern. We've got support from the Anderson Valley Fire District on this one. So I'm going to go ahead and approve this project, this road name petition, again, in the name of public safety. So this one is approved per findings and conditions in the staff report. So the next item we have is road name 2020-0012. This is a private road name petition to adopt the names of Red Tail Road and Peregrine Road for 2 private roads serving approximately 15 parcels in the Boonville area. This is categorically exempt from CEQA. The project is located 4.25 miles northwest of Boonville on the west side of Peachland Road and 4 miles north of its intersection with State Route 128. Staff.
All right, thank you. So this is another one for Anderson Valley. This project is a cooperative effort between the Anderson Valley Community Services District, the community up at the end of Peachland Road, and the department. Several addressing issues along Peachland Road brought this to the attention of the department, and a separate name was recommended for the road serving these parcels. The property owners ultimately decided on 2 names for the separate forks, Red Tail Road and Peregrine Road, and this request was then submitted with a recommendation of the district. The 2 roads serve 15 parcels, and CAL FIRE, the Sheriff's Office, and staff all recommend approval.
So you mentioned that this was in support of the property owners, supported by the property owners.
Yes, the property owners selected the names, and they came up with this more or less on their own.
Okay. And the fire district's in support of this, I assume.
Correct.
So with that, is there anybody from the public that wishes to speak on this matter?
Mr. Wilson also signed up for this.
All right.
Also.
Colin Wilson for Anderson Valley Fire Department. You copy me okay?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, I have nothing further to add to what I've already said. We are in support of this project.
Okay, thank you. So again, public safety seems to be at the top of the list with all of these, and this one in particular has had the property owners affected by this weigh in and in support, and they picked their own road names. And this has been also vetted through the sheriff's department and the fire district, correct?
Correct.
All right, thank you. So I'm going to go ahead and approve this, subject to the findings and conditions in the staff report. Okay, so the next one is also a road name petition. This one is road name petition 2020-0013, also continued from June 10th. Applicant is County Mendocino, various property owners. This is a private road name petition to adopt the name Redwood Creek Road for a private road serving approximately 8 parcels in the Wilkes area. Again, categorically exempt from CEQA. The project is located 5.5 miles southeast of Wilkes on the south side of Bear Canyon Road, 0.44 miles east of its intersection with Lakewood Drive. Please get a staff report.
All right, thank you. So this is the third of the 3 roads in the Pine Mountain area recommended for naming. Redwood Creek Road serves approximately 8 parcels and provides access to the eastern part of the Pine Mountain area bound by Bear Canyon Road on the north and Mariposa Creek Road to the south. Together with Old Boy Scout Road and Mill Road, adoption of Redwood Creek Road will ameliorate address concerns by the department and the Little Lake Fire District in the Pine Mountain area. The district, CAL FIRE, and the Sheriff's Office and staff all recommend approval of the project.
Okay. Do I have any members of the public that wish to speak on this matter?
No, on this matter.
I don't believe I received any comment on this.
No.
Okay. Going once, going twice. All right. So I'll bring it back to the zoning administrator. And again, I've heard from the chief at Little Lake Fire. We've heard the evidence presented in the staff report and the memo, as well as looking over at the resolution. So I'm going to go ahead and approve this one, subject to the findings contained in the staff report. Again, looking at public safety is a major factor in considering this item. The next one is road name petition 2020-0014, also continued from June 10th. Various owners, County Mendocino is the applicant. This is a private road name request to adopt the name Bower Ranch Road for a private road in the Covelo area serving approximately 43 parcels. And this is also categorically exempt from CEQA. And we're looking at 11 miles plus or minus east of Covelo on the north side of Mendocino Pass Road, 2.8 miles east of the Eel River Campground. And may I get a staff report?
Yes, thank you. So this request is being submitted by the department. Increased development and permit activity in this area, combined with the fact that all of these 43 parcels are addressed from a single point along Mendocino Pass Road, have created a bottleneck of available address numbers and exacerbated existing inconsistencies. Staff's original outreach to the property owners suggested the name Nebo Creek Road after the creek of the same name. Subsequent response from property owners indicated that the road was locally known as Bower Ranch Road and the area at large as the Bower Ranch, and that would be the preferred name for the road. Staff updated the project details and re-referred for comment. Therefore, CAL FIRE, the Sheriff's Office, and staff all recommend approval of the project and adoption of the name Bower Ranch Road.
So I have a question on this one. This area up here, this 43 parcels, is this also known as the Bower subdivision?
I'm not sure if there's an official subdivision with it.
It's probably not an official subdivision, but I think the first responders in the area and everybody in the past, and the reason I ask is I was part of that damage assessment team that went up there back in October. And Cal OES and FEMA and CAL FIRE and the sheriff, everybody referred to this as the Bowers subdivision.
Okay.
If I remember correctly, there's a marker there at Mendocino Pass Road with a number of address markers, and it just kind of points up the hill to a lot of these parcels, and then you just kind of drive around and so on. So I would think that the name Bauer is probably appropriate because that's how everybody knows it up there.
It seems to be the local favorite.
So, thank you. Do I have anybody that wishes to speak on this matter?
Not on this matter.
Nobody signed up for
Nobody
talk.
signed up for talk.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and bring it back to the zoning administrator. And I'm just trying to be consistent here and look at all of the requests, especially, I mean, this is a very large one in a very remote area. And obviously it would be good to have a consistent road name. And again, we didn't see any negative comments from the property owners.
No, the only comments I received were just in response to the proposed road name, that the Fire Ranch Road would be the preferred road name if it was going to get one.
Okay. All right, and that's really what we're looking at here. So I'm going to go ahead and approve this matter, subject to the findings, conditions in the staff report. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and bring back the other matter that we had put off, which was road name 2020-002.
And will be muted throughout the meeting.
Hello?
Hello,
No.
Ms. Thompson?
Yes, this is Joan Thompson from
Yes.
3323 Ridgewood Road.
So what we did,
Hold
excuse me, what we did is because you had technical difficulties, we put this off towards the end, so we're now coming back to it. And we did hear folks speak on this item. I think you were our last speaker. So I'm going to go ahead and.
I was able to hear everyone until I guess you connected me, and then everything went dead. So, you know, I'm wondering, number one, aside from the fire officials who spoke, how many of the people who live on the road actually were for this? I'm just curious. I know there's quite a few people opposed to it. And I agree pretty much with everyone else, what they've mentioned as far as being opposed to it. But I was also wondering, the woman spoke towards the end about Anderson Valley Fire Department, and I know that there's a chief who went over to Kern County and helped in fires there. They had excellent pictures, if you look on Facebook, of how they did signage, which I think if they put it right where the turnoff is to what some people call Old Boy Scout. I've been there for 23 years and don't call it that, but you know, remove that sign, put up the correct signage with all the placards, all the addresses, and have it there and have it at every single gate. And if a person decides to take it off their gate, what are you going to do? But I think there's simpler ways of doing it for everyone than trying to just, you know, ram it down our throats, so to speak. It's, you know, there's lots of things. There's fire season now and in the next several months that I'm concerned about. I'm concerned about, you know, how long does it take to contact all the various map apps and make sure that they get the correction in there? Because right now, the apps show me right where I am, you know, exactly, and my neighbors. I think EMS uses the same, you know, a lot of the apps that we use, and I'm concerned that it's causing more confusion than less.
Is there anything else you want to add?
Well, I'm wondering, can you answer how many people were actually opposed, were for the change that live on the road?
As far as letters of support, explicitly supporting the road name, we received one.
Okay, because I think you've received quite a few who are against it, and for the reasons that they stated in their letters, there's lots of reasons. But, you know, I'm curious about how long will it take to have all the apps, you know, with the corrected address, you know, updated. I don't want to hit fire season, have a fire in the area, and there's, you know, incorrect information out there if you do go ahead and decide to do this. I wish you would look at the Anderson Valley Fire Department and, you know, on Facebook, the changes they did to their types of roads, similar problems, you know, lots in the county, like you said. I think that's a solution that could work for everyone.
Okay, thank you. So
Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you.
And the trouble, you know, helping me get through.
that's all right, thank you. So Russ, maybe you could answer the question, is the process after the road name petition is approved, what does the next steps involve?
So the next step would be to determine the appropriate range for the road and then to assign addresses to the individual structures. Notices would then go out to the property owners and to associated agencies, which include the USPS. I believe the USPS national database is where most of these other directional apps, things like FedEx, UPS, Amazon, you know, these delivery companies, that's where they draw their information from. We of course don't have a way to directly update Google or Apple Maps, but you know, that's something that we can certainly work with anybody that has an issue on. The original goal for these was to hopefully have them done this spring, and then because of the hearing changes, it hasn't worked out, so now we're square into fire season. So obviously we can discuss this among staff, but my thought is that we would put off any of these direct address changes until maybe after fire season this year, and not kind of upset the apple cart on that, but that's something we can discuss with council and see what the options would be there.
I think we need to look at that. I'd hate to see any changes in the middle of fire season. And actually, if Mr. Wilson, if you're willing to engage me in a discussion, because you are a first responder. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
I have a question. You know, I've heard, you know, testimony from folks out there who, I'll just say, don't support the changes for various reasons, but I've also heard why we need to do this, and basically it comes down to public safety. And one of the things that we're looking at is not trying to create any confusion during fire season, especially in these rural areas. The thought of not renumbering or readdressing these sites until after fire season, is that something that as a first responder, I mean, we want to try to avoid confusion during fire season. We don't want to send people down a road that's just been renamed, especially if you've got out-of-town firefighters visiting us. Your thoughts?
I think that's a valid concern. When we have done this, the numerous times that we've done it in the past, just it always worked out to be a winter project for me, just because I had more time to do it then. So that's when we did these. But I can say that there are problems of this nature, particularly with these navigational apps. It takes them a period of time to you know, get this into their systems. They're not always really prompt about, you know, reviewing the same road files for counties that they've already done. So there is a potential for a delay there, and it may be substantial. You know, it may be a year or more before some of these apps will get it into them. On the other side, in rural areas, these navigational apps have a considerable amount of problem already, in that when you use them in a municipal area, they're spot on, they'll take you right to the address. Rural areas, they have the wrong road names, they have the wrong locations, they are always have been problematic. But long story short, I think it is a valid concern, and I think the suggestion to wait to do implementation until the close of fire season is not a bad idea at all.
Okay, thank you. So my inclination would be, approve all of them, but really hold off on doing anything to them until November. Because October seems to be still part of the fire season, and it would also prep us to make sure that we've covered everything, all our bases. But that's the direction that I'd like to see these go, is we give, plus it would give ample time for the property owners to start letting their folks know that this is going to happen. But at least once you, as far as I understand the process, Russ, what happens is, this is just for the road names. The next phase is to actually do the address changes, to notify the post office, to notify 911 and everybody else to make sure that it gets into the system. One thing I will, concur with Mr. Wilson is that I have found that navigational systems that are out there are inaccurate. I can't tell you how many times I punch in a road and an address on a private road, and I get sent to another state in this county. So I do run into that problem too. So, but our first goal is to get this road name change. But again, we probably want to hold off until after fire season.
Certainly, yeah. So this is the only part of the process that requires a public hearing. So if you approve these, then we've got that part done, and then we can just do the addressing at whatever time is most appropriate.
Okay, so we'll do that. So I think November would be the earliest. I just see October and think of the fires of 2017, that we still had active fires in this county well into the end of October.
And we tend to get those winds.
Yes, we get those Diablo winds. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and approve case RN 2020-0002 based on the information provided in the staff report, and again, based on the testimony I've heard today, we will look at implementation in November because we don't want to confuse anybody during fire season. Okay, so with that takes us to item 4, matters from staff. Do we have any matters from staff? No matters. Okay, do we have any matters from the public?
I have received no comments to make no comments.
Okay, so I will go ahead and adjourn the zoning administrator meeting for July 8th at 2:38 p.m. Thank you very much.
Thank you.